Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal to International. I'm called Morinzi. We begin with our top stories. The former workers of the Cameroon shipyard industry are on a sit-down strike in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, since July 26. The disgruntled workers are demanding for what they term the non-payments of their social rights. Relative calm has returned to the Kamyabasi neighborhood in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, after traders of Nigerian and Cameroonian nationals shut down their shops to protest tax harassment. They described the taxes by the regional delegation of commerce as illegal, with no receipts to show for after payments. And hundreds of families are threatened with eviction from lands they have occupied for many years without land titles. Those are major stories. Details right ahead. Good evening once more. The former workers of the Cameroon shipyard and industry Chantier Naval are on a sit-down strike in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, since July 26. The disgruntled workers are demanding for what they term the non-payment of their social rights. High St. Charles student journalist Manuel Manga caught up with the ex-workers. We'll come back to that subsequently, and we take this report relative calm has returned at the Kamyabasi neighborhood in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, as Nigerian and Cameroonian national protest tax harassment. They describe the taxes by the regional delegation of commerce as illegal, with no receipts to show for after payments. More in the following story. It's a tense Friday as shops and Godi and Kamyabasi in Cameroon's economic capital remain shut down by traders of Nigerian and Cameroonian nationals. They are protesting against what it describes as illegal taxes imposed on them by the regional delegation of commerce.
For years, we have been collecting the commerce. They have been collecting money from us. They even collect more than tax. What they collect. And they force us to pay the money to their hand, and all the money we have been paying, more than hundreds of millions, we have never seen any receipt of any money.
2 times in a year, they come to all the shop and collect 10,000 from all the shops. But that's not even the major problem. Even as I'm bringing your containers from any part of the world, or even groupage.
There are 3 of them that collect this money. You have the delegate who used to send Bala, and the Amugu, and the Belong. They are the people that come and collect all this money. The chief of brigade that is in charge of this recruitment is not even concerned.
What further provoked the protest is arrest of one of them, presently detained at the Gendarmerie Brigade in Kunulun. According to the traders, they are never issued receipts after payment. They talked of billions of francs CFA collected for the past 5 years. The irate traders say their action is an eye-opener to the government.
Since 2011, everybody here is affected. We have about 2,000 shops. The group that they come and collect 10,000 each shop, which makes it 20 million every 6 months times 2, which is 40 billion.
Depuis 2021,
contacted the regional delegation of trade for the littoral justifies the law regulating commercial activities demands importers, especially those dealing in spare parts, to obtain special documents from the Ministry of Commerce. So Nigerians at Kamyabasi are not exempted. The big problem here is around the law. They must respect the laws of the land. It should be noted, Kamyabasi and Godi are reputed or largest markets in vehicle spare parts in Douala. The economic impact of the shutdown, experts say, cost hundreds of millions francs CFA. And we come back to this story. Former workers of the Cameroon shipyard industry, Chantier Naval, are on a sit-down strike in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, since July 26. The disgruntled workers are demanding for what they have termed the non-payment of their social rights. High Chair and student journalist Emmanuel Manga caught up with some of the ex-workers and put together their reactions in the following story.
With their bags hanging on the fence, others use as pillows to lay their heads on. These desperate minds are here to demand payment of their social rights. The ex-workers of the Cameroon shipyard industry, Chantier Naval, have been on a sit-down strike for over 1 month now, all in a bid to claim their financial rights. After a fruitless strike in Douala, they had to travel to Yaoundé to cry louder in front of the Ministry of Finance, hoping to have results.
We are laying claims of our financial rights because we were abusively dismissed or removed from the company in which we were working, Chantier Naval.
Our monies which we had worked for to be paid, and they have not paid us for a length of time. That's why we have come here for this particular period, that they should pay us our monies.
And far from home, they lament that their living conditions are not the best.
Can you imagine a person like me? We are eating 2 beignets and one sachet of water a day, and not every day.
They regrettably decry the passing away of some of their colleagues while in the same process, but insist that the battle to get what is rightfully theirs must continue.
Oh, we are ready to die if our money doesn't come out. 1 billion was destined for us, but that 1 million did not come to our various positions. It was when Konak came out with an official report that money which is destined for us, the 4 billion, was stolen.
It should be noted that over 562 workers are concerned by this situation, and they keep hoping that the powers that be will address their plight as people who have rendered meaningful services to the nation.
Hundreds of families are threatened with eviction from lands they have occupied for many years without a land titles in Cameroon's economic city, Douala. After protracted negotiations with authorities, the government has finally waded in to settle the dispute. More with our reporter, Aisha Tao.
Confused and with the recent threat of eviction, the families concerned in the land dispute in Japoma Bakoko learned from the authorities that they bought the land from the wrong people.
Vous avez été arnaqué, vous allez utiliser toutes les terminologies qui vous sied. Maintenant, vous êtes déjà au courant. Vous êtes donc considérés comme des occupants, désormais de bonne foi. À vous de prouver que vous êtes de bonne foi à travers la sortie de crise. Si quelqu'un n'est pas installé dans le titre foncier de M. Bissek, il ne sera pas concerné.
A crisis meeting that took place at the Douala City Hall was out to sue for an amicable solution. Concerned families of the dispute land finally sued for negotiation as they were unable to present their land titles.
Un mauvais arrangement qu'un bon procès. En réalité, je me foutais de tous les procès, mais j'ai compris que si je ne vais pas au bout, les gens ne comprendront pas, malgré toute la peine que j'ai prise pendant 8 ans.
Meanwhile, legal procedure on the dispute, 217 hectares of land started in 2015.
M. Bissek a acquis ce terrain par morcellement d'un titre foncier plus grand, le 34 535 Vouri. En 2023, donc, la dernière décision sort en février. Et dès que la décision sort, nous décidons donc de l'exécuter. Il y en a qui ont fait des immeubles de 4 étages. Il y en a qui ont des baraques. Nous ne pourrons pas vendre. Nous allons le vendre en fonction de leur situation financière afin que chacun puisse avoir une portion de terre.
After the deadlock was broken by the divisional officer of Douala 3, the rightful owner of the disputed land has finally regained what he has been battling for close a decade.
About 10 days to the start of a new school year in Cameroon, the recurrent question of community schools in the Northwest region has been addressed in a security meeting in Bamenda with announced sanctions to their promoters. More in the following story. With the phenomenon of community schools that have come as a result of socio-political crisis in the Northwest region, and according to administrative authorities, this renders the reopening of public schools difficult in what are supposed to be green zones today, as there is a semblance of social quietness. That is why a regional administrative and security coordination meeting in Bamenda has dedicated a good chunk of its deliberations on school resumption.
Again, the school board is going to sit and sanction all the teachers that are not going to work while earning salary. And therefore, all the regional delegates, regional delegates, principal, head teachers, and administrative authorities to denounce to the district boards all those that are concerned.
There is also the strong belief that some teachers and school authorities fan the flames of the crisis for egoistic ends.
And as well, the administrative authority, the SDO, take conservative measures to prevent them from earning a salary without working. Illegal schools, and they have instructed the administrative authorities to close them all over the Northwest region.
For schools to function in a clean community, the results of a recent cleanest town competition were divulged at Thursday security meeting, with Cambe emerging first for the second consecutive time.
Every other day in Cambe municipality, the population know that they have a duty to remove their waste and put at the collection points that the council has put in place. Every week, the quarters know from the villages that they also have to organize at the quarter level. And of course, at least once every month, you do a situation where all the villages, all the quarters, and everybody comes up to join what we have been doing on daily and on weekly basis.
All 7 senior divisional officers have been handed down firm instructions to ensure an effective school year 2023-2024 from September 4. And as the back-to-school fever increases, some young Cameroonians venture into the sales of school gadgets to give a push to their parents in the acquisition of their school needs. Our newsroom took interest on a young student at the Tudi market who is fully into the sales of school gadgets, pushing around on a wheelbarrow. More with our reporter, Haisincha.
Chinda is a mobile trader, 19 years of age and a student in the class of Terminal, who since the beginning of August has ventured into selling didactic materials on his wheelbarrow. At every cock crow, he is awake to prepare for the market, arriving as early as 6:30 a.m. and closing by 7 p.m. every day. He changes his goods according to seasons. This time around, he is into school gadgets such as books, pens, armboards, pencils, rulers, and others. The business, he explains, is still timid.
Times are hard, and so parents are waiting for the last minute to buy. I'm into book selling because it's the period. In other times, I sell seasonal products. It could be fruits. It's a very enriching business because it's the period of back to school.
In a bid to help his parents afford basic school necessities, he has engaged into the business and says his profit is worth the effort.
The next 2 weeks will be fruitful if I hustle well. I can earn up to 100,000 or even 150,000 francs, depending on how much I invested.
With the help of his wheelbarrow, he moves from one place to another to attract customers. But when this strategy is not working, he embarks on advertorial phrases. Compared to other vendors, Chinda says he makes sure his prices are relatively lower to attract many parents.
We reduce prices to make more sales. For example, if the others sell for 2,500 francs, I can sell for at least 2,300 francs.
As the days go by, he hopes to attain his objective of getting enough finances in order to prepare for a better academic year.
And some firefighters have come to the end of the training at the 203rd Firefighting Company of Kongsamba in the littoral region of the achievements in the first aid learned during the 60 days of training at the Kongsamba Rescue Center. Aisha Tao tells us more.
130 teenagers have concluded a 60 days holiday exercise in first aid and rescue. These include lessons in greenhouse order, firefighting, civic education, and first aid. The event took place at the Littoral Regional Headquarters of the Army Rescue Unit. The teenagers demonstrated aptitude, skills, and attitudes, physical endurance, and sports education. The end of training ceremony was chaired by the 3rd Deputy Senior Divisional Officer of Wuri. Parents, friends, and acquaintances were also present as witness to the rescue training. The teenagers were handed certificates of participation.
More financing, coalition, and human rights language at the point Cameroon thinks can help end tuberculosis by 2030. The points were arrived at the end of a national dialogue held in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, to prepare the country ahead of the high-level UN SDG meeting next September in New York. Beatrice Ngamo reports.
Cameroon's presentation for the upcoming high-level UN SDG summit next September 22nd on tuberculosis fight and challenges under preparation. The objective of the national dialogue in Yaoundé.
This dialogue has been very inclusive. We believe that we have worked enough to prepare one voice of our country to that United Nations high-level meeting.
After the brainstorming, the stakeholders at the end of the day affirmed that
we are advocating, we are calling for more financing on the national response, also need a more human rights language on the TB response. So actually it's most around advocacy, but we need to strengthen the coalition to make sure that we meet all the goals.
The SDG 3.3 stipulates by 2030 end the epidemics of AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria, neglected tropical diseases, and combat hepatitis, waterborne diseases, and others. Tuberculosis is among the 10 top causes of death worldwide, yet TB can be prevented and it can be cured. As the world meets in New York halfway to the deadline for achieving the 2030 agenda and the SDGs, it will be another moment of unity to provide renewed impetus and accelerate actions.
And Catholic couples have been drilled on how to strengthen their mutual commitment of family, life, and relationship with God in the face of the ordeal of digital technology, witchcraft, and sex. The objective of the first gathering organized by Our Lady team, a spiritual Catholic movement based in Cameroon and Chad. Beatrice Ngamo completes that story for us.
The Our Lady team is a movement of conjugal spirituality that brings together couples married in the Roman Catholic Church who have decided to follow Christ in their life as husband and wife. And husband and wife, they appeared in the same colors, their love, oneness, and togetherness. In this perspective, the Cameroon Chad region decided to organize a 4-day gathering under the theme, Vocation of the Christian Couple. Lessons were dished out on how to support themselves as couples despite modern-like societal challenges. Technological changes and the thirst to move with the time have pushed many couples into sex and witchcraft. The priest proposed escape routes for couples, and it is no other than prayer and dialogue.
On refuse pas d'avoir le téléphone portable, on refuse pas d'avoir le téléviseur à la maison, l'ordinateur. Mais à quel moment on doit l'utiliser? Il ne faut donc pas que ces éléments viennent perturber la stabilité familiale.
Christian couples, members have testified their belonging to this group have helped solve their marital issues.
When I got married, I was a kind of dispersed young man. We have had some kind of training that has made me to be a kind of calm and posed husband that I am today, and consequently a nice parent that I am today. If my wife can testify, I used to be that kind of person who would go and come back late in the night and so on, but now my family is the first thing I am requesting every day I leave my house.
It is therefore an ideal opportunity for couples married in the church to share the same values and to benefit from the teachings and advice of professionals.
And that report by Beatrice Ngamo brings us to the end of this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal to International. Thanks so much for watching.